Hey, what you doing? You at work? That's crazy. Well, I'm over here just thinking like...
Container potatoes. Grab a drink because I'm finally starting. In this wheelbarrow here, I have just got the rest of my potting mix I used for my seeds. I have some compost and I have peat moss, so I'm just going to mix that all together. I want it to be pretty nice and fluffy because you want the potatoes to be able to space out and grow nice and big, but you also want it to hold moisture. See, and then it comes back apart. That's what I'm looking for. Here's one of my buckets. This is just a 5-gallon bucket. You can see my drainage holes. I have a lot of potatoes, so I'm going to be doing the containers. I'm probably going to try it in some garden bags, some grow bags, and then some really big ones. But here is what I will be doing for all of these. So I'm putting a good base layer of dirt in my bucket. You want this to be a few inches deep because you want the potato to be able to have good room to put out good roots. Now I'm going to take my seed potato, eyes up, and just tuck it down in there. I am going to put 3 in this bucket. All right, third one tucked in. Now what I'm going to do is fill this guy up to about right here. All right, so that one is done. So up to about right here is dirt for roots. And from this space to this space is going to be where my potatoes are going to grow. I'm going to add in some phosphorus, bone meal. Remember that potatoes love phosphorus. When the greens start growing through the soil, then I'm going to hill this up with any sort of leaves or mulch, anything like that, just to protect all my potatoes in the dirt. Now, because this bucket does not have any side drainage, I'm going to need to put it up on something so that the water can freely flow out. If your bucket is just totally waterlogged all the time, your potatoes are going to rot in there. This one needs better drainage. Let's dye some Easter eggs using some kitchen and garden scraps. We are experimenting with turmeric, red onion peel, beet, which mine was tiny, so I cheated and put a little beetroot powder in it, so hopefully the color will get darker. I soaked dry black beans in water, so hopefully it'll turn more blue, but right now it's gray. Sometimes it can go either way. Blueberries are working super well. And this one I did using greens I got from the garden and some spinach that was in the fridge. It has not been going long at all though, so it's gonna have to sit for a while. The longer these sit, the richer the colors will get. And the more like turmeric or red onion peel or beets that you use per 1 cup of water, the deeper the color will be. And I put a splash of vinegar in each of these. So happy experimenting.
Come plant a tomato in my container garden with me. I'm planting this tomato deep, as in this is a 10-gallon pot, and you see me adding about a 1/4 cup of bone meal and about a 1/4 cup of granular fertilizer all the way down at the bottom. I'm going to add in a scoop of regular dirt, mix it around, and then I'm taking a tomato plant that's very leggy, taking all the leaves all the way up to the top, and I'm going to cover it in dirt and mulch. Now I'm going to add a couple of my lettuce seedlings, this beautiful little speckled lettuce from Baker's Creek. I think it's so cool. Adding some carrot seeds just to fill in the spaces, and then plopping in some basil starts that I have. These will all grow symbiotically together, and as long as I am fertilizing and watering regularly, everything should grow in just fine. Throwing a little mulch on top because you have to mulch no matter what, but especially in containers. Happy growing!
The reason why a lot of people won't become who they want is because they're too attached to who they've been. And you hear it all the time when people say, I've always been this way. Okay, well, if that's working for you, keep doing that. I knew it wasn't working for me any longer. I had hit my version of rock bottom. So I was willing to let go of everything and everybody. See, another reason why people won't get there is because the doorway is for you to fit through. You're trying to carry everybody else through because you're trying to be Rescue 911. And you got to rescue you first. I am much more valuable to my family and to my community because I was willing to let them go through the door myself, teach myself, learn myself, condition myself, and then come back and get them. I'm much more valuable to them now.
Hello everybody, just thought I'd show you a quick and easy way to grow some plants or vegetables in a raised box. We just have a raised bed here with some dirt in it. I have a power bulb auger. We're going to just show you how easy it is to drill some holes in your soil, however far apart you want. And this will dig pretty deep, and you can use this to drill your tomatoes real deep or whatever. But we're going to set that aside. We're going to put a little fertilizer in there. Being as it's only a couple, we can experiment and see how hard we can push this broccoli. We're not going to want to put it too deep. And as you can see, the chicken's got a hold of some of the leaves. But they should recover just fine. And probably what I'll do, just to experiment to see how much, we can take a little more fertilizer and put it around here, just to see how much we can get away with. And what I'll do is, I'll take my cultivator and just lightly scratch the fertilizer in, because you kind of want to cover your fertilizer for the most part, or your nitrogen will leach into the air and it'll basically be worthless. So that's that. A quick, easy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 broccoli heads planted in the raised bed.
What's up, world? It's still your favorite gardener's favorite gardener, and yes, you can clone comfrey, say that 5 times fast, from a leaf cutting. Now, you need to make sure you change the water every few days, and it will take about 21 to 25 days, but it will root and you can plant it just the same. Just grow it.
Sensational.
Hey! Okay, so let me show you what I did. So I have this garden bed, and my neighbor's cats kept using it like it's a litter box. So I just got these spices, and I made a concoction. Cinnamon, crushed red pepper, and cayenne pepper. And I actually mixed them all together in this one. But I just sprinkle it around, and it keeps them from coming around. They still hang out in the backyard, but no longer in my garden. Don't forget to follow.
Do you want to see what's growing on the deck right now? Strawberries, lemon balm, yerba mate, a peony, anemones, a couple of fig trees, a couple of Marina strawberry trees, asparagus, purple sage, a couple of artichokes, lettuce. I'm not sure I can pronounce this, but it's beautiful. Some carrots popping up, banana trees coming back to life, spinach, and these are big leaves. A couple of blueberry plants, petunias. My black goji berry just started flowering. Catnip, chamomile coming up, snapdragons and thyme, rudbeckia, curly parsley, and flat leaf, rosemary, more snapdragons, 2 little leeks, oregano, more lettuce, and garlic. Kind of have garlic mixed into a lot of the pots. Also weeds. Sweet marjoram, green onions, white sapote tree, And then the farm stand is just full of things. There's tomatoes and lettuce and kale, strawberries, spinach, thyme, lettuce, bok choy, romaine, really just so many good things. And then, you know, some non-edibles. My Monstera is struggling out here, but she is pushing out a new leaf right now, so that's pretty cool. And then some other non-edibles, and then some things that I need to plant. And that is what is currently growing on the deck.
Hey, so I have a different solution for squirrels, and it also works for rabbits. These, just put it upside down. Use the taller one for your taller plant, and I use landscaping pins to keep them in place. Don't forget to follow.
So we're going through all of our seeds today, and I found something that was really interesting to show you guys. I totally forgot that I had these, but you can see that on the packet, this says cowpeas. But most of us know these as black-eyed peas, which black-eyed peas was a staple for me growing up in my household. But when people ask why black gardening is different, or why I say black garden TikTok, this is a lot of the reason why. Because there are certain things that we just do differently. We have different names for certain plants. We have different ways that we cultivate. Some people might call it amaranth. In other cultures, it's callaloo. So culture in terms of growing or cultivating, it's important, and it actually does, it matters. Because if I say to you a cowpea, you're probably not going to know what I'm talking about if you look like me. So something to keep in mind when you're looking for black-eyed peas. If you want black-eyed peas, they're typically called cowpeas. Yes, sis, speak on it. Because this is such an important note to be made. That when we're talking about BIPOC farmers and cultivators, we had a completely different way of cultivating, a way of farming and growing that was sustainable. The Three Sisters method of planting, where you plant corn, pumpkin, and peas together in one bed, that came from indigenous people. And John Washington Carver is known for making peanut butter, but his most important contribution to society was using peanuts to fix nitrogen into soil that had been completely depleted of nutrients from monoculture. And I'm going to say this for the 100th time. This is why Black Garden TikTok is important. It's why it's important to listen to BIPOC voices when it comes to growing and cultivating. Because our ancestors have been doing this. And when we decolonize the way that we look at growing, we can begin to actually find more sustainable ways to produce food.
I just want money that's calm. Teenage, never worry about acne. Like, I ain't never been with a baddie. She calm, so I added to the tally. Madison, but I'm calling her Maddie. Like, Mads try send me the addy. What's the right, then I left at the alley. Like, Joe, you don't look too shabby. Jordy thing come from the valleys. Like, I just wanna play with that funny. Yeah, it's like
yes, I'm one of them. Yes, I'm one of them. Yes, I'm one of them.
Now that your grow pot is prepped, you want to carefully remove the packaging from around the plants, figure out where you want them to be in the planter, and carefully remove the pots from around the roots. I'm normally somebody who likes to spread roots out pretty aggressively, but specifically with carnivorous, you don't want to disturb them. Once you've got them in their final spots, you want to start packing that soil all around in the middle, in the edges, making sure there aren't any gaps and the soil's packed pretty snugly. A special note on the Venus flytraps: every time a trap is triggered and doesn't have any food to help it, it hurts the plant. You can see me do it right here. It isn't the end of the world, but you want to avoid it as much as possible. You can also pack that soil all the way up to the edge of the pot because it always sits in water, so you don't have to worry about room for watering. Make sure to only use distilled or rainwater, and find a spot where this planter will get as much bright sunlight or daylight or artificial light, whatever you've got, as possible. From Thanksgiving to February, they'll need to go into dormancy, but come springtime, they'll grow back even bigger.
me.
For all my gardening friends out there, I just want to share with you one of my favorite tools for weeding. This is called a hula hoe. You just drag it through the soil like this, and the blade on it slices the weed at the root. I personally prefer this tool over using a standard hoe or weeding by hand. Most weeds will not survive, especially if it's really hot and sunny, but of course you can always just pull them out like this.
When I first started out growing cut flowers, everybody thought I was crazy. People would say to me, why are you doing this? Why are you spending your time, working in a field? Why are you spending your money buying dahlia tubers? Why are you working so hard? Why are you working so much? At that point I was farming professionally for someone else, and I was farming on the side as my side hustle. People didn't get it. They would say, why do you do this? Why are you doing this? Don't you have anything else you would rather be doing with your time than, digging in the dirt? And truly, no. I was focused on my dream, and I was committed. And what's funny is now, the same people who would ask me, why, are the same people that ask me how. How did I get here? How did I do this? How did I go full time? It's the non-believers who went from, why are you doing this, to the people who going, well, how did you make this happen? So, remember, when you're on your journey, people are going to question you, people are going to doubt you, but that's okay. As long as you believe in you, as long as you know where you're going, they don't have to see, they don't have to think like you. As long as you know where you're going to be okay. But if you let those people get in your head, especially early on, it's going to be a big struggle, my friend. So if you're committed to this life, stay committed to your dreams, stay focused, and don't talk to small-minded people. It's not worth it.
It's a regular bowl. It has one of these inside. It's a Kenzan. So when you stick the flowers in, they stay.
Strong, you can swim inside it. We could string some lights up the hill beside it. Tonight the moon's so bright, you could drive with your headlights out. 'Cause a little bit of summer's what the whole year's all about.
Tell me something that's an absolute flex to a niche group but means nothing to the majority.
I grow dahlias and we sell the tubers, and I have over 10,000 tubers in this shed right now.
Within you it dies. Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love. Don't you want somebody to love?
Today we are turning our fall bed into a spring bed. We're harvesting the last bit of this celosia to dry before ripping it all out. We found some ranunculus hiding in the celosia from last spring. We're just going to leave it and see what happens. We've been adding a top layer of compost before planting until our soil structure gets better. We're direct seeding another mixed bed and adding a sweet pea trellis to the end of 2 of our beds. We buy our seeds from Johnny's Seeds or GeoSeed, and sometimes Floret, but they come with like 20 seeds in a pack. After sprinkling them in, we cover them and water them in.
If you want poppies to look like this for longer, you want to harvest them when they're in this stage, when just a sliver of color is coming out. Hydrangea is super thirsty. If you cut it at a steep angle, it can drink more because it has more surface area. You can even cut it up the stem, and that's even more surface area. I'm putting these in hot water. Hot water has less dissolved oxygen, so more water will get up the stem versus air bubbles. In emergency situations where it's refusing to revive, fill a bowl with warm water, stick the heads right in it for a couple hours, and usually it'll perk back up. The easiest way to rubber band flowers is to go up one stem, around, and then up another stem.
Yeah.
Down in this bed, which is looking pretty bare right now, but I'm gonna show you something. But Sassy wants some screen time, so here she is. Anyways, I wanted to show you that some of my peppers are coming back to life. This is a Sugar Rush cream pepper. Here's a Brazilian starfish, and then Sugar Rush peach pepper too. The rest of the peppers that were in this bed are dead. I already pulled them out though. I didn't cover these or anything, so it was basically if they live through the winter, they live. If not, I'm starting seeds anyway. So these three decided to live. And while I'm down here, I'll show you what's growing in the containers. Goji berry, fig tree. This one is a tiger striped fig, and then this one is another fig tree. I don't know what kind. A little laurel bay tree. I'm not sure what this is, but it smells good. This is a little tea leaf tree, some onions, a few different colors of petunias, some chives, and of course weeds everywhere.
I have to use the metal grate on my pears because this goofball likes to eat mulch.
Tips to get your garden ready for the winter from an urban farmer. Tip number 1, if you have a plant in open ground, or like this chili plant in a pot, cut it at the base and leave the roots in the ground. Macro and microorganisms will turn these roots into new feed. Tip number 2, collect dry leaves from the local park or woods and store them in bags, and they will turn into nutrient-rich leaf mold for your garden. Tip number 3, if you have mint growing in the garden, like this chocolate mint, prune it completely. It will go dormant and come back to life next season, stronger and more vigorous. Tip number 4, strawberries will produce runners like this to try and reproduce themselves. Make sure to remove them so the energy can be redirected into the root system. Tip number 5, once you cut your plants, chop them down into small pieces, add them to a compost bin, mix in dry leaves or cardboard to make compost for the next season and save money.